I've seen people who've done worse shit than John that have been given a pass much sooner than John. I've forgiven him. Nick's forgiven him. Augie's forgiven him. Bo Blacks has forgiven him. You know? If we can do it, why can't you guys? I think he deserves a second chance.
Imagine you got into controversy and everybody behind the scenes already forgave you, publicly, privately. Nobody's kind of holding anything against you. And yet, 8 months down the road, here we are, still stuck on this damn fucking struggle bus. Oh, how did we get here? Why are we still here? Why can't we seem to move forward? Let's unpack it.
Hi, hello. If you're new here, let me just quickly inform you. Over here on this channel, we take little small inconsequential dramas and we pretend like they're important and actually make a difference. We like to dissect and analyze, but we do not like bullying, hate and harassment, so don't partake in that shit. I don't condone it. Alright, let's fucking go. So this is a drama that can be divided into 3 acts. I am only briefly going to recap the first 2 acts, I guess, because I really want to get into discussion of the 3rd act, why we're on this struggle bus. So what I'm going to do for the outline of this video, I'm going to briefly recap the drama, but I will leave relevant links if you're not caught up, if you don't even know who John Swan is, if you'd like all of this rehashed. Other than that, I'm going to give a brief overview so that we can get right into the juicy part of this discussion, which is Act 3. And I'm just going to say this off the bat, I do not think that John Swan is a bad person. I don't think he is malicious or evil. I think he did originally make a mistake, and every single thing that he's done since has led to the disillusion that we as the audience experience, and that's what I want to delve into. So this is very much about how he's coming across versus who he actually is as a real person, who I don't know, I'm not going to speak on it, I don't care about that. I am an audience member and this is what I see as the criticism.
Okay, so let's speed run this drama real quick. A couple of years ago, John and some other person decided to troll a kid and pretended to be Dream online. That was it. That was the big first act of this drama. Dream already knew that this had happened. It got out to him, and obviously he wasn't happy, but he wasn't, stopping the press for it. He basically made a Reddit post calling John out, but not in a way where he tagged him or made it public or anything. But John, being the choir boy himself, decided to screenshot this post from Reddit and call into question Dream's character. Now, it is important also at this time to remember that there was a lot of debate about Dream cheating in Minecraft, so it really did fit the narrative, and John Swan was also working with Corwit on a documentary I have no idea what they were actually going to do, but if the attempt was to expose Dream as being at least an unreliable narrator and the sense of being a liar or a cheater, then this would have added credibility if people bought the story that he was slandering John behind the scenes on Reddit. So after John decided to take this bold, brave step of calling him out, Dream decided that no fam, this is not the move. This is not what we're doing here. You know that you're lying. I know that you're lying. Why are you lying? So he swung back. And essentially, this story escalated to the point of John lying about trolling again, which is such a nothing burger, but he lied about it. And then not only did he lie about it, he had his friends, the rest of the commentary community, go to bat for him, defend him, come up with logical reasons as to why John's story would make sense, because again, remember, he lied, so it did not, and then discredit Dream in the process. The 3rd act, and the reason for this whole video existing, is now it's been 8 months since this controversy happened. John was exposed as a liar, so he didn't do anything that would demonetize a person. He didn't mess with children, he didn't fuck with no cats, he just lied. I mean, that's it. But now it's 8 months later, and John is stuck on the struggle bus. He's throwing a pity party left, right and center, and the problem is that we as the audience are kind of over it. And the thing is, a lot of people on YouTube are not entirely aware of this drama. I mean, yes, Dream has a massive audience, sure, but I imagine that John had the exact same amount of detractors before this controversy as he does now. And by that I mean they only have something specific to call him on, but if somebody was going to call you stupid poopy head in your comment section, they're still going to do it. If somebody was going to dislike you or tell you to get off the internet, they did it before this controversy. This was more just a nail in the coffin. The people that were truly offended were the people that were directly impacted as victims, and that I would say the commentary community as a whole, because the community relies heavily on the concept of credibility. It relies on trustworthiness and reliable narration. So when there's a bad apple in the mix, it kind of throws off that whole vibe, if you get what I'm saying. And to take it further, these people went to bat for John. So not only did they not hold him accountable when the time of the lie occurred, but they also tried to give John many versions of an out. Now granted, the absolute second that it came out that John lied, every single one of them disavowed and they got their credibility intact. But of course there's long-term impacts. I mean, people, whether we like it or not, are often associated with who they hang out with, who they're friends with, who they collab with. I mean, there's just no escaping that. And John greatly impacted their credibility from a public perception, whether or not you agree that it should have been the case or not. Now, it's important to remember that even though literally, again, the first act of all of this was just John being a troll and then lying, that was essentially the crime that caused all of this to happen. So the reason why this is perceived as a big deal, why some people are disgruntled and upset and kind of feelings going on, is literally because, remember, context and nuance do actually matter. So in different communities, if you associate with a community, any community on YouTube, there are certain rules with which you have to abide. So in the commentary community, if it is found out that somebody said the N-word secretly a bunch of years ago as a teenager amongst their friends, nobody's gonna care. But if you are in the T community and some audio leaks of you singing the N-word, then you're gonna have to come up with a quick apology and take some couple of weeks off and some tears in the process.
They're nasty, and I'm sorry I ever...
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
The same goes for if you're a political YouTuber, then you can't be
A socialist in the streets and a capitalist in the sheet.
Creepshow got cancelled because her brand relied on being a moral compass. So therefore the context is important. Your community actually does matter. To think it's a case-by-case basis, it's really not. It's really not. Every single community has its rules, and that is the price of admission, is that you have to adhere to these rules. In the commentary community, it have to be a credible, reliable source, and the community has to take you seriously as a content creator. Whether that is good or bad in itself is irrelevant as to whether or not the audience in this community holds him accountable. Yes, he did essentially nothing, but he also broke one of the 10 commandments of being allowed in this community. So that is the kind of the root of the controversy, and that is why we care. If we can summarize it then, in the first act he did childish trolling, in the second act he lied to everybody in the community, and we're now at act 3 where he's attempting this idea of a redemption arc, and not only is it failing miserably, but it's coming off looking very poorly on his character and his intentions, and to whether or not he's actually sorry or not. It is almost as if he's trying to portray the idea of being a struggling artist, when instead...
How many are there?
36. Counted them myself.
36? But last year I had 37!
Yeah, well, some of them are quite a bit bigger than last year.
I don't care how big they are!
So we happen to be stuck on a struggle bus because John is not doing Act 3 right.
So in order to rectify the situation, John decided to make, I guess, content. He made a video in which he explained to the audience exactly how the audience is basically fucking him over, because he decided that he's been held accountable enough and he deserves the second chance, and we should stop unsubscribing, stop hating, so that he can enjoy his dream job once again and give him money.
Bad things are, I am making less than half of what I should every month in order to break even with bills, food, rent, etc. So yeah, things are not great financially, things are not great view-wise. Remember, this is how I make money, this is my job.
So, Okay, this was a very, very poor decision for multiple reasons, and everybody agrees, including himself.
Because he unlisted the video with the quickness, I tell you.
I do have it linked below, so you can definitely go check out. But he basically told his audience that he's not breaking even financially, and this is his dream job, and he really wants to do it, except he's not going to do it because every time he does it, he doesn't like the audience reception of it, and he doesn't like being disliked, and he also doesn't feel like it's justified, and 160k subs just is not enough, and he's not motivated. So basically his dream job is also his biggest burden or something like that.
Look, I come from a country where the dream job is to have a job. Like literally, that's it. That's the dream. So hearing a 20-year-old say that they do not feel like going to university and they don't feel like getting a different job, but currently their job that they really want to do is kind of hard because they're receiving hate, is unrelatable as fuck. But that might just be me. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Like, you guys, the struggle, it's so real. It's just so real. Okay, first off, everybody has to work a job that is somewhat uncomfortable to some extent. Most people do get criticized by performance evaluations and stuff like that. And that is even if you're working a kind of shitty 9-to-5 job. Dude, you have a fantastic job that you can do safely from your home. It is literally your dream job. Most people in this world will never have the opportunity to be a full-time YouTuber. So if it's a job that for the time being you have to put off for 3 years while you go work a regular ass job, literally don't ask for sympathy about that, because that is the lived experience for most people. Your audience is not a bunch of YouTubers who are luckier than you are. It's not. The majority of your audience are regular people who really became invested in the Chris Hansen story. That's the extent. That's your influence. You know your lane and just kind of stick to it. And then secondly, besides the decision to alienate the audience, he also told the audience that since he held himself accountable, it's now, time for us to move on and let things go.
Do I need to be liked? Absolutely not. I like to be liked. I enjoy being liked. I have to be liked. But it's not like this compulsive need to be liked, like my need to be praised.
Mind you, again, he's unwilling to compromise. He's not willing to change the quality of his work in order to give a bigger quantity, and he's not willing to do the quantity because then he has to compromise on the quality of his work. So basically, he's not willing to compromise in any way, shape, or form. Mind you, again, there is a ton of YouTubers who do not only produce quality content, but they have full-time careers and they are thriving at it. And yes, it's hard. But so is life. You're not guaranteed anything and you don't deserve good faith. And this might just be the logical conclusion to the choices that you yourself made. So it's time to stop feeling sorry for yourself, because again, the look is really, really bad. And the thing is, if John Swan was the first cancelled YouTuber and the biggest cancelled, and this was the manifesto, this was the outro, this was it, this was the whole story, then maybe. But this thing happens over and over again. You're lucky that not only did you have a very minuscule drop in subscribers, but also if we look at his social blade, if we look at his analytics, then you'll see that he is an anomaly. He did grow faster than most people ever will. Within the span of 2 years, he basically went from nobody to a full-time YouTuber. I mean, obviously that means you got talent, you got the goods, you have what people want to see, you are a captivating creator. Speaking like all hope is lost really also makes this video come off as if you just didn't feel like making content this week, so you decided to create controversy instead and let people hate on you for the sake of being relevant again, which is, at best. If I do assume that you are self-aware, then this reads like an elaborate troll to make yourself relevant again, which makes it doubly disgusting, because then it means you have absolute zero remorse about what you did. But I'm not going to assume the worst. I'm going to just assume that you don't know how to seem sincere because you're used to being the professional guy behind the camera and you just wanted to get straight through the bullet points in order to make this an easy video. And let me tell you, nobody wants to know how the sausage gets made. So personally, what I find most interesting about this entire narrative, this entire story, is how Even though John was quote-unquote forgiven by all the relevant victims in the story, it really became pretty obvious and pretty clear that it doesn't actually matter who is okay with him behind the scenes or who agrees with him or supports him. Ultimately, his viewership and the good faith of the audience at large is who decides if he's cancelled or held accountable or not. So his biggest detractors, as well as the people speaking in favor of him and wishing him luck publicly, actually have very little say with regards to the success that he's experiencing. I mean, if we just simply looked at Man, who was arguably one of the biggest victims in all of what John Swan did, if he could say in so many words, I'm over it, I don't care, I'm not angry, all that, then who are we as an audience to still hold it over his head?
Honestly, it wasn't really much of an apology. I more accepted it because, I sort of was over the drama at that point.
I'll fucking tell you who we are as an audience to hold it over his head. We don't care. We don't care if he's sorry or not sorry. We care about how we perceive it. And what we are perceiving is literally an entitled 20-year-old telling us that his life is harder than our life and that we owe him more respect for the work that he's done, even though he has actually not done that much. And the quality of the work, yes, insane, fantastic, I could never, great, kudos. But it's not like he's been on this platform for a decade and, rubbed elbows with the giants and proved himself worthy. Like, no, this is probably his biggest drama ever and he's not handling it well at all. So, quick to rise, quick to fall. And the audience can see this and it feels like being spoken down to. It feels like he thinks that I can't see through it. It's leaving a very sour taste in my mouth. And like I said earlier, I never had a actual problem with John during the first or second act of his controversies. I mean, he lied and it was shitty, but I don't expect much from YouTubers. I generally think most YouTubers are kind of shitty and do lie and do stab each other in the back. And I mean, no, there was zero shocker. It was just like, oh, yeah, this one. Okay, whatever. I'm not your mother. I'm not going to give you a good talking to when you fuck up with your friends online. I don't care. What really ultimately is the most endless, boring, dragged out drama ever is this idea that you are feeling sorry for yourself. If you've got the mental health, move back to your parents and use the rest of your savings and go see a therapist. Get that shit checked out. YouTube will still be here when you're done fixing yourself. If you are mentally fine, you're just tired of being hated and you want to be liked, then it seems like you'd have to win the trust and the good faith of the people back. So that means stop talking down to your audience. We know when we're working with somebody who's sincerely apologizing for something and who's not. Now here's the thing, you're allowed to say I'm not sorry because this is who I am and I would do it again because I think what I did was actually funny even though none of you agree with me. You're allowed to have that opinion, John. But then don't say you're sorry. Be mask off about it. Say this is who I am. I take pride in being this level of a douchebag, and you know what? This is me. This is all me in my glory. This is who I am. Watch me roar. But if you say with a straight fucking face that you're sorry and you're sincere about it, everything following that seems like the exact opposite, then you again seem like a liar. And when you're trying to prove that you're not a liar, guess what's happening? So the community is the people that are not over it yet. And we are not over you. Like, we don't see any sense of growth, development, learning curve, or any of those kinds of things that happened here. I mean, fuck. I know that second part seemed a bit harsh, but I'm not trying to cancel John because I don't really think that is possible nor necessary. There are quite a few solutions that came from the community in the meantime, and I generally agree with them. So Nick, Tipster, and even Pity Page offered up some great suggestions, and I don't want to just repeat what they said, so I'll just bullet point some of their opinions. And that was basically just, work harder, keep grinding, stop having one-to-ones with your audience, your optics is bad. Basically, essentially versions of you're still young, and maybe if YouTube is not for you, go get a real job, work hard, and remember that you are actually genuinely talented, because nobody gets an audience like you at the age of 20 if you don't have what it takes. So if you can't do it, you can't do it. And if you want to do it, then work. Okay, so those points are valid and I agree with them, and great. So moving on to my points then, I have seen 2 very recent, basically success recovery stories with regards to how the audience perceives people in the commentary community who have to rectify their brand. The first, this is probably one of the best cases. If I get cancelled, this is what I would try to do, but I do think it takes quite a specific person to do this, and that is Boblax and his recovery. I'm going to talk about the BLM song. So for those who don't know, Boblax dropped some bars about BLM, and it was not great, but it got leaked. It was unintentionally, and at first he had I think a pretty normal reaction to that, which is just lashing out from pure embarrassment and frustration in the community. But then, you know, he took the L, and he went even further than that by not only owning the joke and leaning into the meme, but he stopped trying to hide it at all costs and went on to many different smaller platforms, and completely, whenever anybody would ask him about it, he would explain in full what he did, how he fucked up, and if they wanted, he would just sing it again, you know. So essentially, literally my definition of actually owning it, you know, saying that yes, this is something stupid that I did, let's meme about it, let's laugh about it, because essentially I'm a young person, I do young person things, and we all fuck up, and might as well, instead of pretending that it didn't happen, let's just laugh about it together. Now, what I do find very, very interesting is that approach, I think, really goes down well in the commentary community. If you think about it, other people that have leaned into memes about themselves generally come out looking best. I mean, think about Keemstar, for example, right? But what I'm saying here is that when the whole community makes a meme out of mocking you and laughing at you and bringing up your controversy, then you can either decide to Barbara Streisand the whole thing, which literally doesn't work, or you could also retweet the same memes. You could either have the community laugh at you, or you could, you know, not beat them and join them and laugh at yourself as well, and realize that none of this is that serious. I mean, if it's not gonna end your career or your life or hurt somebody, then who cares? Just, you know, learn to laugh at yourself. And John is taking himself so incredibly serious, way more than anybody else in this community possibly can or would care to, that he simply cannot see the humor in it. And I feel like every single time that this was brought up, he had an opportunity to not squash it, but to embrace it. And he decided not to. And I'm specifically remembering when Boblax released just essentially like a lengthy compilation of all the tweets that he read when people called out John. And let him explain.
Me and the YouTuber John Swan are friends. Even after he lied to me about the dream situation, I was mad at him for like a week or two, but we made up and became friends again. And as many of you guys know, my last video was a compilation video of that entire feud between him and Dream, which ended up in him lying, which obviously looks bad on his part. Now, when I made that video, I had the mindset of compiling a previous drama, but when I made that video, I was completely oblivious to how that would affect my friend John Swan. It's especially since he's trying to come back now, and it's hard for him because everyone keeps unsubbing every time he uploads because they're reminded of that situation. I literally remind everyone of this horrible thing that my friend did and put him in a bad situation, and coming from a friend, that's really fucking shitty to do. I've already privately apologized to him. We've talked about it in depth, but that's
I mean, Boblax is obviously a very good friend here. Actually could have gone 2 ways. He either could have allowed this to be an opportunity to meme on himself, but instead he bitched behind the scenes and made it so that people can't talk about it. So it really does seem like he can't let it go. So that's the one route. That's the one thing you can do if you stop taking yourself seriously. Alternatively, you can take yourself very, very, very seriously and recognize that the only reason why anybody has ever hit the subscribe button or clicked on a single video of yours is because you are known for making good quality content. That's it. If you recognize that, then your alternative tip is to go the Turkey Tom route. Work until your fingers bleed. Go sit in the corner, cry a little bit, recognize your faults, and start working. Start working so incredibly hard that people literally would ask questions like, wait, what did Tom do again? Because yeah, like the exact opposite. With Vodovoz, I remember exactly what he did, and I chuckle when I think about it. With Turkey Tom, I'm struggling to get the story exactly right, and
you know, and that's what John needs to do. That's what Tom did. Tom did that, and he survived completely. And Tom lost more subs and got way more shit than John got. All right, John lost 20,000, or sorry, Tom lost 20,000 subs. John lost 10,000. All right, Tom got sent 100,000 dislikes on his videos, probably like tens of thousands of negative comments. I'm sure John got a lot of shit too, but it wasn't nearly as much as what Tom got. And he still made it out just fine. In like 3 months, he had completely repaired his channel.
you know what, there we go. And the thing is you don't need a community to like you in order to get views, if that is ultimately the goal. I mean, if you think about Gabby Hanna, I'm Alex, Amberlyn Reed, Keemstar, I mean, you don't have to act brand new or unique. So essentially, having had all these blueprints, seeing all this play out, you can basically just choose your own adventure, you know? Pick an icon and let the scenes play out. The audience has a very predictable response. We know what is supposed to happen. We know how we're supposed to react, and we usually let these things go. As far as, you know, the people that you're going to lose, you were going to lose anyway. They were just looking for another reason to hate you. The people who are going to stan you were always going to stan you. You still have patrons after all of this. I mean, does that not say enough? Does that not tell you everything you need to know? You are the only person ultimately who can cancel yourself. You have full control over this narrative, and the fact that you are throwing it away is choosing a third cancellation. Suggestion that I would just finally add to the story is that you are not willing to work through this, then you are choosing to cancel yourself, and that, my friend, is on you. But in the end of the day, I'm just a thought with an opinion, and I don't know shit about fuck. Peace.